Hello everybody, we're getting ready to start lesson 3.5 for Algebra 2 Math, and here is my contact email. 3.5 Graphing square root and cube root functions. Here is our standard here. This is part 1, and we have 30 points here, a skills sheet of 30 points, and then we have a note-taking guide that's worth 9 points on that, students. Here's our bell work for this lesson. Teachers, give your students about 5 minutes to do this bell work here. And then here is a solution to bell work. Okay, we're going to graph square root and cube root functions. You've graphed polynomials. You will graph square root and cube root functions so you can find the speed of a race car. Previously, you saw the graphs of y equals radical x and y equals the cube root of x. These are examples of radical functions. In this lesson, you will learn to graph functions of this form here. Y equals a times radical x minus h plus k, and y equals the cube root of x minus h plus k. So parent functions for square root and cube root. Here's parent function for the square root function. F of x equals square root of x, and then here's our domain and range. And then here is the parent function for cube root functions. G of x equals cube root of x. Goes like that. And then domain and range is all reals. Okay, students, here is your vocabulary in your own words. Define radical functions. Okay, graphing a square root function now. So graph y equals 1/2 radical x and state domain and range. Compare it with a graph of y equals radical x. Make a table of values. Here's your table of values for this function here. Y equals 1/2 square root of x. Here it is. We started 0, then when x equals 1, y equals 0.5, right here, etc. Follow your table here for your graph of that. The radicand of square root must be non-negative. So the domain is x is greater than or equal to 0. The range is y is greater than or equal to 0. The graph of y equals 1/2 of square root of x is a vertical shrink of the graph of y equals square root of x, which is here. It's compressed, it's dropped down, basically because of this a value here is less than 1 by a factor of 1/2. So it's been scrunched down. Okay, our first guided practice here. Graph this function here, and students, this is on you. Graph this function for your independent practice. Okay, the guided practice here, we have a negative, so now we're below the x-axis, -3 times square root of x. This is the shape of your graph. And that was part 1 of 3.5. If you want part 2 and part 3, email me here. Thank you.